What's up? Politics! I get to do that for a second time. I'm James.
Not really. We're talking about the hunt.
Politics!
But I'm Jimmy.
Still politics in.
So on this week's Flashback Friday, if I
Politics.
say it louder, you won't notice that I flubbed it.
Politics.
We're talking about the hunt.
I'm going to keep saying politics because I think it's funny.
Now, this is one of the many attempts Damon Lindelof
Don't hurt yourself.
has made to make me feel better about him because I'm still pissed at Lost and Prometheus.
He did Lost? Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's a good thing you didn't tell me he made those movies.
But I love the hunt. I love the hunt.
I would have gone to this movie very differently.
I know. That's why I didn't tell you. So, and Greg Zobel directed, who has worked with him before on like The Leftovers. So I love this movie. I'm glad I got to share it with you. It's not as far back as a lot of the flashbacks we've done. It's more of a recent movie.
Was it 2019? 2018?
Let me see your face.
Look at me. This is why AI will never work. It's not even recognizing me.
Look it up.
Oh, gosh, y'all are so excited for that. 2020.
2020.
Wow.
A whole 4 years ago. Oh my goodness.
You can have this back now.
So, the reason I have this now is so I can get actors' names right. Betty Gilpin, who I absolutely love from, what was it? The female wrestling TV show on Netflix. Yeah. The Females of Wrestling or whatever it was called. I know I'm missing the Glow or something like that.
All I know is that it had Annie Edison's actress from Community. And I was like, ooh, a different character. Oh, God, a different character.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's awesome. But for the hunt, the setup is amazeballs in that we don't get much information. It's sort of teased along the way. And we see an incident on an airplane. And a dude comes from the back. And they're like, lay down. We think they're taking care of him. But no, they just try and kill him. And then stab him in the eye with a high heel. And then gets put back into steerage. And he's still alive. But he doesn't make it all the way. And then all of a sudden, these people are randomly in a field.
It's like some Hunger Games crap right
with
there.
a box. And they all have like bits in their mouth so they can't talk. And the first one we really see is Emma Roberts. Julia Roberts' niece. We're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Big name actress, even for that. So it's like, okay, cool. That must be important. And then we see Betty Gilpin's character, like, pull some hair out, put it in the lake on a leaf. And if you're a Boy Scout or anything knowledgeable about that, she's clearly trying to find directional on a compass. She finds north. But then we see these people coming out of the woods, and they are slowly moving towards the crate. Open the crate, and the first thing that comes out is
Orwell!
A pig dressed up, which I loved. Hilarious.
Best character in the entire film, Orwell 2024.
But then they pull out a huge rack of guns in the middle of this grassy field with a forest. And we're like, what is going on? Well, luckily the title, The Hunt, gives us a clue.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to hunt the pig. I don't know.
So then we have people grabbing guns, and we get a early mix of who these people are, where you have several people who grab guns and know what they're doing. And then like Emma Roberts' character is like, oh, I can't do that. And the old man's like, can you do this? She's like, yeah. I was like, then you can shoot a gun. And hands her the gun.
And the best scene in the movie, somebody from somewhere shoots them with a sniper rifle. And was it Emma Roberts? Was that her name?
Yeah. And she goes, oh, that was close.
And then
her brain's gone. And I know that's not funny, but it's funny.
We love dark humor. We love stupid stuff like that. So you can tell this is our kind of movie. Like, that is the perfect comedic setup. You have a bullet that almost hits them. They have been focused on almost the entire time with the camera, and then oops, no more heads.
So immediately we lose a famous actress. Gone.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Now everybody, because they're being shot at, runs away from this wood crate. And one of the characters runs, and all of a sudden she falls in a pit. And so the dude goes to follow her, and she landed in a pit full of steaks. And one's going right through her chest. And she mentions it's her birthday in 2 days, and she just wants to eat a whole pie. So he's like, okay, gets her out, gets her up. He's like, come on, let's go. And then he steps on a landmine and blows up, and the girl gets thrown back into the pit on a different steak.
And it's like, his face is just perfect. It's like, you know, if people step on a landmine, they're like, God damn it.
So
like,
then
come on.
we have a different guy come in. I think it's Ike Burkholz comes in and is like talking to her like, no, don't. And she's like, just give me your gun. No, shoot me. No. So she takes a gun and shoots herself. And so she's done. Okay. So then we have characters then running off to a fence. We have more meet up and they climb over the fence. They run to a grocery store or a gas station. And there's an old couple in there. And like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And these three characters like, no, we're being hunted, whatever. And Burkholz gets on the phone, is trying to talk to ostensibly the cops. They're trying to figure out where they are. They don't even know. They're told it's Arkansas.
Arkansas.
And one of the characters eats some powdered donuts, and then they find out it's poison, so she dies. And then all of a sudden, this cute older couple behind the register blows Ike Burkholz away with a huge, as a sawed-off shotgun, and he goes sprawling across.
The
releases
best
poison gas.
The best 180 in that entire movie is just watching these kindly old folks just kick ass.
And then we start seeing what's going on in that they ask, why do you have a gun? He was like, because it's my Second Amendment right to have a gun. And they're like, well,
which, if I may deliver the Constitution to you, no, it's not the right to defend yourself. It's the right to organize a militia against a corrupt government. So read the Constitution, guys.
Yeah, because it's a fun read. So then the older couple is like, but aren't you doing what they're doing to you? And we find out that essentially the people being hunted are conservatives, like right-wing, way right conservatives, and the people hunting are very left-leaning liberalists. So much so to the point where he says, what did he say? He said something like, those people. And she's like, what do you mean those? Or no, he says, I bet he used the N-word, and not just in private, in public. And he says, those people have been persecuted for years. She's like, what do you mean those people? He's like, I mean blacks. She's like, what? You can't say that. He's like, yes, NPR does. But NPR is made of what? White people, African Americans, and just the level of PC is hilarious.
And the best part is he said, God, white people are the worst.
Yes, and they are two white people.
Oh, and it is.
He's not wrong.
Look, I will come right out and say it. I am left-leaning. I do apply myself to the Democratic side. But it is funny watching the far leftists get their crap kicked in alongside the heavy conservatives, because it's like, both of you suck. Both of you make everything worse.
And it's great because then he takes a pop out of the refrigerator and takes a drink. She goes, oh my God, don't drink that. And he's like, oh my God, did you poison this dude? Like, no, it's full of sugar. And it's like, oh my God.
And the only part I actually sympathize with was when he turns on the TV and it's a news broadcast that says, another hit has been taken for the climate change myth. And he mutes it. And it's like, that's the only thing I sympathized with, because climate change is actually real, guys.
I forgot about that. He got in the face of one of the guys who was dying of the poison gas. And he goes, climate change is real, asshole. And it's like, okay, that's your quip, your final line.
Hey, man. Boom. I'll live with that. That sounds like a baller last line.
It's hilarious. So then they clean up the gas station because the next victim, Snowball, is coming in. And this is Betty Gilpin's character. And she comes in, and we don't know anything about her. She goes through the same rigmarole. Where are you from? Or where am I? Like, that's a weird question. Most people know what state they're in. And again, they say Arkansas. She goes to buy some cigarettes, and she gets some money out of her boot. She puts it on the counter, and they're just chit-chatting away, and she gives her change, and she kind of looks at the change. She looks up at the woman, and the woman leans forward. Is there anything else I can help you with? Boom! Smashes her head on the countertop, reaches across, gets the shotgun that's back there, shoots the dude, shoots the woman, and she goes, cigarettes are only $6.50 in Arkansas, bitch.
Which,
you're like, what the hell?
To me, means one of two things. Either she Googled that when she was bored, or she is a heavy smoker. And either way, it's still such a genius setup. Not to mention the fact that later we get this brilliant, it's just, there's like this great fight scene between all of them where she shoots the shit out of both of them. And then she goes outside, takes the license plate out of the car to reveal she's somewhere in Europe. And then she traces along the car to find that there's a wire that will blow the car the flip up if she opens the door. So she hides behind, and one of my favorite actors of all time shows up, I'm going to call him Schooner guy from
Ethan Suplee.
Mallrats.
Ethan Suplee shows up and he shoots a drone out of the sky, which she gets pissed off because then she's like, well, now they know where we are. But it's awesome because his name's Gary. No shit, Gary, I think it is what is literally designated
No shit,
as.
Gary.
And he is your typical redneck, I would say. Again,
who has a podcast. So
he is very conservative, and he keeps talking about ManorGate. ManorGate. I think he's the first one to bring it up about what. No. I'm sorry, they did earlier.
No, the leftists bring up the fact that ManorGate is now becoming a widespread.
When they went to
issue.
climb over the fence,
Yeah.
the barbed wire fence, or Ike Burkholz.
Even before that, they do reference that there is a thing called ManorGate when they're on the airplane.
But yeah, I'm talking about the conservatives.
When the conservative, yeah, no, that's
so they talked about he's on his podcast, and one of my favorite lines is, "Yeah, I sent this email to like 50 of my friends about ManorGate." And he goes, "Do you believe that?" He's like, "What? That you have 50 friends?"
No.
Like, yeah, that's pretty funny. So they jump on a train, thinking they're getting out of town, and there's refugees on the train, and Ethan Suplee's character is convinced that they are what's the actors? I can't remember.
Oh, they are crisis actors.
Crisis actors, which cracked me up. So I'm like, oh my god, are you serious?
My god.
And then, they literally look like poor immigrants, and they're speaking a foreign language. I can't decipher what it is. And they're clearly in Europe.
The train gets stopped by, I think they were in Lebanon. Is that
No. They were officially. They found out they were in Croatia.
Right, Croatia. So they get stopped by the Croatian authorities, and they're brought into that train stop because immigration and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
And this is my favorite moment in the movie: is that the dude who is trying to speak to them as one of the people who are in crisis, that
one of the immigrants.
Is it No Shit Dave? Or
to Gary?
No Shit Gary. Gary is like, I still don't think that you're an immigrant, that you're a crisis actor. And so the authorities come up and they talk to the immigrant, and he's like just speaking to them in his language. He's like, no, I'm not. I am translating what he might have said. So this, I don't know what language it was, but he's basically trying to reason with them that he's like, no, I was a part of that immigrant group. But then as the authorities walk away, and Gary's like, he's a crisis actor. He goes, I don't think they believe you, Gary.
Oh, and it's hilarious. So that sets Gary off. He goes nuts, tackles the dude. A grenade comes out of his backpack. Gary's thrilled because he's sitting on him. He pops the grenade, stuffs it down his pants. Now this is a retort. The liberals should have done this. Sayonara, sugar tits. And he runs the other way. Betty Gilpin takes some of the other refugees who are real. One's a mother with, I think she's pregnant, but has a child, and
also
covers her. And that poor dude blows up.
And not really when you are a part of the people that are killing people.
Crisis actor down.
Yeah.
Black Hawk Down, big time.
Oh, and it's so funny.
So we just go along, and Betty Gilpin meets up with another hunted person. I forgot his name, but he's an old man.
Was it Bob or?
I can't. Dale.
It
was Dale.
And Don.
Yeah, and he's got a. I could never tell, but he looked like he had one of the veterans hat on.
Yeah,
probably Vietnam.
It was something like that.
And they go along, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I love this scene. Supposedly, a representative of the U.S. Embassy comes to get them. He's talking to them on this back road, and you just see this camera shot of the passenger window, and Betty Gilpin's in it, and she just kind of gets the little handle, lifts her legs up, turns to the side, and kicks him both feet in the head. You're like, what the hell is going on? Don's flipping out in the back seat. She takes over the driver's seat, goes backwards, runs over the dude's head. You're like, they open the trunk to find poor Gary in the back.
Well dead.
Knife in his head. And Don's like, you should have stopped and asked this guy some questions to figure out why. It's like, I don't care. They're just trying to kill me.
Why the fuck is there a pig here?
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, we see
Orwell.
Orwell comes back, still dressed up.
Oh, my boy.
And they befriend Orwell.
Yes.
Now, I believe this is where we get the cut to find out exactly what the hell is going on.
It was either that or right before it, but yes, you have a cut to, or was it before? I don't know. Somewhere in there, there's a cut that explains what the liberals are doing.
And we find out that they were all well-to-do elites. And I They claim that they were making a joke. I'm not sure it was an actual joke or it was something they were planning, but either way,
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's part of the just social media and that it's like, it was just a joke.
they had a text group amongst themselves, but the text got leaked. And in it, there was a joke that referred to them hunting stupid people, rednecks, conservatives, whatever, at the manor, thus ManorGate. Cut to, we have this group in some posh environment with a slideshow ranking the conservative people that they want to hunt. And if they have a high enough score, they're going to actually abduct them and they will then be in the hunt. The one we definitely see is Gary on screen. It's funny because a black gentleman comes on screen. They go, whoa, we can't do that. They're like, well, we don't have proper representation. That it'll look funny. It's like, the thought process in this was so beyond ridiculous, but that's what made it hilarious.
And one of the best throwaway jokes by far, they've started calling it ManorGate. They've ruined Watergate.
So we then cut back to the action. We see now these people in a bunker waiting for the hunt to continue. They know that the U.S. Embassy dude went to pick them up. They're wondering where they are. They're chatting. They make fun of, this is part that was one horrific and like, ow. One of the guys there who is the coordinator, trainer, taught these guys how to do these things was in the film Tears of the Sun, which if you know what that movie is, it is horrific, horrific. But the elite clearly don't know what that movie is and they're making fun of it as the name, Tears of the Sun. Oh, like the sun was crying, whatever. It's like, this was mass genocide.
Yeah, let's make fun of the Rwandan genocide.
Yeah, it's like a horrific incident, and it just happened to star Bruce Willis, and that's what the guy said. He's like, well, Bruce Willis was in it. Oh, so it was a real movie? Like it showed in theaters? Like, this is the point that shows you may have had sympathy for the liberals and you agreed with the conservatives. You may not have. But when you hear the elite doing this, you're like, there's no way I have sympathy for them either.
And now, honestly, I feel like I'm watching a movie that's, sorry if I may take a very quick tangent. In the 70s, there's a very famous story written in a Playboy magazine about a society where things were reversed. And the dominant culture was that of gay people, lesbians, gays, the LGBTQ community. And they persecuted those who were straight and killed them, meant to parallel the modern era and why all of this persecution is bad. And now I'm starting to see that it's basically a reversal of the roles. If the liberals were all the high-earning, profiteering people and the conservatives were left in the dust, and it's like, this is why we shouldn't hurt each other. Took me a minute to come to that conclusion. I swear I'm an artist, guys.
Well, and it's the old saying, you have a right hand, you have a left hand, but it's all in the same body.
That's true.
So all of a sudden, Orwell comes back in.
Orwell!
Except not in a good way. Poor Orwell is tragically a victim of the liberals, and it's kind of funny because they're like, aren't they vegan? It's like,
which is again funny because if you're taking the perspective I just added, it's like you're watching basically, I like the classist divide it shows. You're watching the high earning class, the top class, high brass, whatever the hell you want to call them. You're literally watching them kill Orwell's message as a means of profit and mindless murder, and it's like, they killed a pig.
But the reason for that is Betty Gilpin follows right in and destroys them all, including the dude who was in the military. We find out he was in the Army Reserve. Yeah, the National Guard. And this is where we find out that Snowball served in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and she is very prepared for everything that's going on.
Yeah,
more so than anybody else, especially the hunters. Now, this is also where we reach the point where she finds that the head of the whole organization, so to speak, is not dumb either. She convinces Snowball that Don could be one of them.
Oh my God, that is an impressive scene. And you can tell Don is not lying, that he's like, no, I am not one of them. And he is trying his hardest. And she's like,
yeah. And that's what's awesome about the storyline. She doesn't care. She just wants the truth. And if she mentions earlier, everybody's lying.
It's like a
Boom.
Rorschach.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
ironic because both of them are actually pretty crappy people.
More,
But
more so than
know.
you know, because David Lindelof wrote the Watchmen TV series.
Whoa.
Anywho, so Betty Gilpin now goes to the manor.
The manor.
She has to put her gun away because there's a threat that there's bombs there. So she does. She goes in, and who does she find? Two-time Academy Award winner, Ohio girl, Hilary Swank. So Hilary Swank was basically the proponent for all of this. She's the one that mentioned the manor in the text. She's the one that got fired because of it, as well as a whole bunch of other people. And now she's one-on-one with the one that she wanted to be with, Snowball, because she thinks she's the one that caused all these problems.
Surprise! No.
There are two people with the same name, spelled slightly different, from Mississippi, and they got the wrong one.
Potentially. I mean, it's very ambiguous. That could be the case. I like to think maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But we'll go with that for now.
I like to think it is. Yes, we only have her word, and she literally said, everybody's a liar. But she goes so far as, yeah, my mom and dad are still alive. We can call them. Call them right now. Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's
and
true.
The fact that they've done all the research, they would have known if the other woman was actually trained in the military. And so they're taken very much by surprise when this woman is trained.
That's true. But then again, everybody's a liar.
So fight ensues over a great speech on a grilled cheese sandwich. Thank God Hilary Swank saved that bottle of wine or champagne. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. This is so brilliantly
It goes
choreographed.
so absurdist. It is hilarious. It's not, I never at any point thought it was a horror film, but I guess it kind of is.
It's like an action horror comedy.
Super dark comedy. It's so entertaining. I love the ending. James wasn't as thrilled with it.
I love the fact that it passes the Bechdel test with flying colors, which for those of you who know, you know. I love the point at which they're in, it's like a bathroom or something. It's like a room. I think it is a bathroom or something. It just has towels and it leads to the porch and they tackle each other through the glass pane and it breaks and they're like taking a minute to get back up. They get back up, they fight each other, and they're at a glass door. And I think Hilary Swank's character opens the door, goes, no more glass, no more glass. And it's like, they're just like the little flourishes in that fight scene. That's like, this is so brilliantly written because it's just stupid and humorous in that. And it ends with seemingly both of them dying. I much would have preferred if both of them died because it really would have driven home the message that all of this is stupid. But having, I already forgot her name.
Snowball?
Betty
Gilpin. Betty Gilpin.
Whatever.
Betty
having
Gilpin.
Snowball survive, which they also have a great exchange about Orwell's novel, which he will speak on in a minute. Let me get to the ending. But I do like how the ending with her living and then sharing the champagne with the flight attendant who was originally terrified of the affluent liberalists does drive home a really good anti-classist message in that it's like, it's always the wealthy that suck. But yes.
What I enjoyed about this final speech she basically gave is they're both, I think it was when they were both lying on the floor, and she's asking, why did you call me Snowball? And she goes on and talks about George Orwell's Animal Farm and the character Snowball. And she goes into it in depth as if, this is Hilary Swank, as if Betty Gilpin's character had no clue about this at all. And Betty Gilpin retorts, knowing full well what the story is, having described the story and saying, why are you calling me Snowball? Wouldn't you be Snowball? And she's like, Hilary Swank's only answer is, you know Animal Farm? And what I love about Betty Gilpin's character is she possesses both the understanding and reason of why the conservatives were brought in as far as hunting skills, survival skills, all that stuff. But she's also educated like the elitists. So she represents, to me, both sides, and she's the one who survives. So it's basically no-win situation. Nobody wins. Just kind of be who you are. And then when she gets back on the plane with the stewardess who was in the beginning and witnessed them kill the rando dude, she offers her some champagne and some caviar and is like, come on, we're all going to do this. This is fun.
Which is, again, wonderful anti-classist message. I will admit, I didn't much care for Snowball, only because there's a point at which she gives this whole speech about a jackrabbit, and it's like, Jackrabbit killed because it's the whole tortoise and the hare, but then the Jackrabbit kills the tortoise because the tortoise beat the Jackrabbit. And it's like when you
And the
endorse,
Jackrabbit always wins.
yeah, when you endorse violence like that, I can't really sympathize with your character. It's like you already made me hate the liberals in this movie, which I mean isn't very hard to do at this point, and you made me not care for the conservatives. So when you have the main character who endorses violence in that way, it's like.
On the flip side, maybe because I've been in the workforce for a long time, she has
Probably.
another speech where they ask, "Why are you doing this?" She's like, "Because most days I'm like, eh." And she works for a car rental agency. I've done that. It sucks. People suck. And then they're like, "Well, why are you going to keep doing it?" She's like, "Because I feel like this all the time." And I'm like, yeah, if you get a chance to just rage,
Well, no,
I would rage.
That's fine. That's
You
fine.
don't know that he's still in school. He's still like, I don't know,
Look,
rainbows and
rage, but don't kill people.
lollipops, and it's
Don't
all
kill
happy
people.
and whatever. But
Stop. Get
go
some
watch The
help.
Hunt. It's
It's
awesome.
good. It's great.